Good afternoon, everybody. This is Cleve Gaddis coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. One of our panelists is actually in the city of Atlanta, Georgia today, which I think is wonderful. I'll introduce Wendy to you in just a few minutes, but welcome to RISmedia's broker webinar series entitled Your Best Recruiting Tool is Not Money. I owned a brokerage myself. I bought it in 2006. About 2009, it was all I could do to keep my head above water. I'll let you figure out how that happened from 2006 to 2009. But one of the problems that I had, and one of the problems that most of our coaching clients have, I'm with Workman Success Systems and we coach brokerages throughout the country, is they're always afraid of other brokerages poaching all of their people. And so most brokers in the United States of America, their margins are getting smaller every single year, and they're worried about people poaching their agents. And it's just a very frustrating situation. And so today, we're going to teach you what you need to do from a recruiting standpoint, or we're not going to teach you. Our two fantastic panelists are going to teach you what you need to do. And the basics of it, if you wanted to write down some notes, is you need to look at recruiting the same way you teach your agents to look at lead generation for their business, because the reality is most of the brokers and team leaders that I talk to, they don't look at recruiting as a very specific, well-oiled machine organized process. Again, I'm Cleve Gaddis. I am a master coach with Workman Success Systems. I also run a real estate sales team right here in Metro Atlanta. I have 6 agents. We sell a couple hundred houses a year. And so I do exactly what you do. Whatever frustrations you face in your world, I'm telling you, I've dealt with the same problem in the last couple of weeks. And so we're all kind of cut out of the same cloth. This webinar is sponsored, and if it were not for the sponsors, these webinars would not be possible. And I think you guys are going to get some great tips and tricks and things to put in place in your business that you can use to start making money immediately. And so I think you need to thank Inside Real Estate for that, because if it were not for them, it would not be possible. If you have questions, and I know I'm going through this really quickly, you have a questions box or a questions tab on your GoToWebinar dashboard. And if you want to post any questions, in fact, what I would love to do, if you will all just go to the questions tab and just put the city where you're from. I'd love to know where everybody is from, and it'll get you a little bit accustomed to using the questions panel. And I would love nothing more than if you guys interrupted and asked questions the entire webinar, because I'll be more than happy to push the questions on to Donny or to Wendy or to both of them, because I want to make sure that you're getting exactly what you need. We've got a Houston, we've got an Atlanta, we've got Orlando, we got a lot of people coming on here. If you have difficulties, post also in the question box, and somebody from RISmedia will help you get taken care of. We will have a recording available, because this is a question that we get quite often during these webinars. It's all going to be recorded. It's going to be put on the RISmedia's YouTube channel. And I believe everybody that's on today will actually receive a copy of it. We've got Goodyear, Arizona, Madison, Mississippi, Danville, California, Houston, Texas, Richmond, Texas. It looks like Tustin, California, Bend, Oregon. What a beautiful place. Modesto, California, Tampa, Florida, Blair, Nebraska. We got people from all over the place. Jacksonville, Florida. Ooh, Niagara on the Lake, Canada. That's where I'd like to be. So we've got people from all over the place. I want to start out and introduce Sean Roseman. He is the EVP of Customer Success at Inside Real Estate, where he's responsible for creating loyalty-driven customer experience, where customers obtain real, undeniably valuable solutions to their most pressing business needs in the Inside Real Estate platform, even from day one. So, Sean, unfortunately, we had a hard time getting Sean's video working. So Sean is on without video. But Sean, thank you so much for being present today. I'm hoping you're going to be able to participate in the panel as well and offer some great ideas and share some best practices. But tell us a little bit about Inside Real Estate and maybe what people need to know about you.
Great. Thanks, Cleve, so much for that introduction and opportunity to be here. We are honored and humbled to have Wendy and Donny participate as well, and appreciate them and their partnership with Inside Real Estate. One note, and as this slide speaks to, we are the leading independent technology partner for hundreds of top brokerages and power over 200,000 agents, teams, and businesses. And we, again, are just so honored to be able to do that. our platform, and Cleve, if you're able to go to the next slide, that'd be super
I sure am. Yep.
Our platform, as some of you know, solves a pretty fundamental kind of problem that brokers, teams, and agents face, which is how to really take that technology step forward and put it in a position that allows you to drive profitable growth at every level of the organization. And the average agent generally is using a lot of different technology solutions to solve some of those biggest problems. And our platform, which is known to many as KV Core, allows them to bring many of those core pieces of functionality to have a technology-driven approach in this day and age. And we've seen so much good and so much innovation, frankly, from agents across the country leveraging the platform during the last 6 months with the circumstances that we've all been faced with. And it's been remarkable to see what everybody's been able to do and the way that the engagement has gone up. And again, we just feel so honored to be part of this industry, part of this community, and just happy to be here with all of you. Towards the end,
I think you've got a special offer, I think.
Yeah. Towards, as we finish up, I won't spend really any time here, but we do have a special offer for attendees tied to KV Core and Core Property Boost, which is something that we'll probably talk a little bit more about during the session, but you can get more information at insiderealestate.com, get KV Core, and we'll be happy to help and answer any questions that may pop up.
And I think Donny mentioned Core Property Boost in our pre-webinar call, so my guess is he's probably going to talk about that just a little bit.
I'm trying to see if that free stuff goes for me too or not, but
not for you. You and you're excluded from the free stuff, Donny. Nothing free for you. So I want to mention something before we get started, because we're talking about a CRM platform, but a lot more than that. And I have had a lot of experience with experienced agents over the last couple of years, and it's been a very difficult process to get them where they look at their CRM the way they should, and they understand the importance of having a good CRM tied with a good front end, high lead generation, very robust Zillow-esque, I hate to use the term Zillow-esque, but Zillow-esque website. And what they're finding is so interesting. It is the difficulties and the challenges and the discipline of working your CRM correctly that gives you the life freedom that everybody got into real estate looking for in the first place. And so what these experienced agents are finding, if they won't be disciplined and actually work that CRM the way they're supposed to, then they have no work-life balance. So they have no stress about going in and updating their contacts and categorizing them correctly and actually doing what you're supposed to do, but they don't have the work-life balance that they're looking for. So it is the act of daily discipline, as Jim Rohn used to say, the act of daily discipline that causes people to have work-life balance. So it's doing those things every single day that you do not like to do that promote work-life balance. We've got two fantastic panelists. Very rarely do I do sort of the pre-call interviews where I get through and I'm like, dang, I mean, this is going to be some good stuff, because these are two people who come at recruiting similarly, but they also do it very differently, and they have different models. So we've got Donny Samson, who's the CEO of Samson Properties. We've got Wendy Forsythe, who is the Chief Brand Officer of Fathom Realty. Before we get started, I want to, and I'll give you guys a little bit more introduction as we get to your specific section. Make sure if you're here, you stay on to the end. I've got two very cool free tools that we're going to give away from Workman Success Systems, and I want to make sure you don't miss those. You're going to want both of them, because they're going to be tools that you can take and use in your business immediately to start changing the results that you have. Wendy, if you don't mind, I'd love to start with you. Tell us about what you and your real estate brokerage have done to create certainty in an uncertain time. In other words, what have you done during the pandemic to make everybody feel a little better and keep things rolling in the right direction?
Gee, Cleve, that's a big question to come out of the gate with, but thank you, and thank you. It's an honor to be here and represent Fathom and talk about some of the things that we've been doing. So, I mean, yeah, it's been an uncertain time for sure, and for us, we'll sort of not talking from the recruiting point of view, but just talking from the brokerage point of view.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, we put a tremendous emphasis back in March and April on just reaching out and making sure our agents were okay, answering their questions, sort of giving them support. And we've gone through, I think, different phases as we look back over the next 6 months. So that was kind of phase one.
Okay.
Luckily, Fathom has operated for the last decade that we've been in business as a virtual brokerage. So we've always had that virtual platform in place. So for our agents, they didn't feel like they were losing an office if the bricks and mortar space got shut down and as we went through that phase. So, we didn't have that uncertainty to deal with. They knew the systems were in place, to continue to operate their businesses. So once we got past that initial phase and we went into, okay, what do we need to focus on now?
Yes.
That makes sense. And being a national brokerage, we're in 24 different states.
Wow.
So we had different circumstances to deal with, right? Depending on the state that our agents were in. So it took a lot of effort to really understand that, because there wasn't one message that worked straight across the country. And I think that's still very true today, is that we're experiencing COVID different in our different marketplaces. So having that sensitivity has been important for us. So communication has been to sum it up, has been what we've been focusing on.
Thank you very much. And before we get into the topic of recruiting without spending every dime you have, Donny, give us some things that you've been doing at Samson Properties.
Well, and Wendy hit on it, communication was big. I think that, staying out there, there was we're Virginia, Maryland, and DC. So we did have even 3 different circumstances in our region, but I think that there were certain agents that they didn't want to go out, so you had to respect that and obviously, stay safe. But then we had people that we need to encourage, because if they wanted to keep doing business, well, how do we do that? How do we help them do that? So I was in front of the camera twice a week, in our studio here, sometimes at home, but coming in and videoing and connecting with people, giving them virtual tips on how to sell, setting up different programs, putting as many virtual classes in place as possible so people could really learn, whether it's our new products in KV Core and CRMs or other products, and helping them to get educated, helping them to reach out to buyers and sellers, connect with people. And I think the people that wanted to work wanted that encouragement on how to do it, and I think that was the best thing that we could have done during this time, was to be that encourager, to help teach them and guide them how to do it better. And for the ones that couldn't go out or didn't want to go out, pair up with another buddy within our company that can be successful that way. So I think, we turned virtual in the sense that not everybody was coming in, similar to Fathom, but the key was to just pour into people with that message of, if you still got to pay your bills, I'm going to help teach you how to, and we're going to help you, because people want to buy and sell still. We were still deemed essential in our 3 areas, and we wanted to do whatever we could, to help people through this.
Donny, I heard somebody say the other day who was in the Charlotte market that what the agents needed was permission to move forward with life. And I thought, what a freaking fantastic, it's such a great concept. It's okay to do this, just be safe. And it sounds to me like that's exactly what you were doing, even though you used slightly different words. We have got Wendy Forsythe. I should have given her bio. She's the Chief Brand Officer of Fathom Realty. She spent her career helping top brands, brokerages, and agents both in Canada and the U.S. build their businesses, and she is sharp as a tack, I'll tell you. She has become a branding and growth leader within the industry by combining operational excellence with agent-first philosophy. She's a frequent speaker and a writer for many industry publications and conferences, and we are so glad to have her here. Wendy, I would love to start out, if you don't mind, by you covering the concept of how Fathom is trying to serve other brokers, agents, in an attempt to make them pay attention to your brokerage, because it is such a fascinating concept.
Yeah, thank you, Cleve, and thanks for that introduction.
We're glad to have you.
At the core of Fathom's principles is servant leadership, and as that relates to recruiting and just to our industry in general, we very much operate from that perspective of giving back and of sharing and of abundance. So from a recruiting perspective, we follow a system, and we boil the system down to kind of 3 parts. So the first part of the system is you got to fill the funnel. Second part is you got to have regular communication, and third part is you got to give value. So when we pull that up to the first part of filling the funnel, there's different ways that we look at doing that.
So let me just interrupt, because
yeah.
I think you have just that is really genius when you think about it, because those are three very distinctly different activities. And so I think a lot of us would be good at, hey, that first one, let's fill the funnel. Let's get broker metrics or do whatever we need to do to figure out, you know, who our top agents are, and let's get that funnel full. And then once we get the funnel full, we do nothing with it. Like we do absolutely nothing with it. So then you have to have regular communication, but the driver in that communication is you have to add value. So please, if you're out there, write that down. You got to fill the funnel, and you can fill it with crap. You can fill it with the best people. Just fill the funnel.
Let's not fill it with crap.
No, but my point is, if you're focused on filling the funnel, don't worry about only putting good quality people in there, right? Because if you're putting a lot, sorry, and I shouldn't be telling your part of the story, but fill that funnel, have the regular communication, and add value. Those are three such important steps. I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So on the filling the funnel part, so there's different ways that we fill the funnel, and you know, think of this as different ways that agents generate business. And as brokerages, we don't all have to fill our recruiting funnels the same way. But you know, one of the first ways that we talk about that I think is consistent for all of us, regardless of our business model or our brokerage or brand or independent, is we need to start with the people that we know. So you want to start with your own sort of personal database, and you want to fill your funnel with all the people in your market that you know that you think would be good agents, and there's lots of different strategies to employ to do that. But when I start working with a manager, with a broker in a market, that's the first thing I ask them to do is write down, where's your database? Hopefully it's in a CRM system like KB Core. Most of the time it's not.
Right.
But they need to get all the people they know in their funnel. And then we'll get into, now, how are we going to regularly communicate with them? And how are we going to give value? So that's where we would start. In addition to that, and I think we'll circle back to this in some of the other questions, is we approach at Fathom, recruiting much like we approach online lead generation. So, when we're filling that funnel, we're doing things from our careers website, we're doing things from drip email campaigns, we're doing things through, events and inquiries of people that want to learn more about Fathom. Whatever that touch point is, they're going into our funnel, and then we're putting them into our system of communication and giving value.
So let's talk real quickly about how are you filling your funnel, because that's where the service, regardless of opportunity, comes in, is how you're actually filling that funnel. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so in our local markets, we start with filling the funnel with those, the database, the people that our local leaders in that market know. And then through the online world, we follow very classic sort of online lead generation principles. So everybody in our database gets regular communication from us. That regular communication includes not just come join Fathom, come learn about Fathom, but it includes, information that they can use in their market. So during COVID, we published a free COVID guide on how to do real estate safely during a COVID time. And we emailed that to our entire recruiting database of potential, new Fathom agents that we're looking to attract. We just did one on 40 ways to get ready for a successful Q4. So that was a resource that we shared. So we do these free resources. We share them through our email, part of our drip campaign. And then we also have a very robust fathomcareers.com website. So we're driving all the traffic back to fathomcareers.com. They can learn all about our value proposition, learn all about the markets that we operate in. And then we use that to sort of do that whole circle again around filling the funnel. So those are some of the things that we do.
So it's so interesting because you're filling the funnel by offering the resources. You are giving them items of value by giving them the resource and earning the fact that they should pay attention to you. And so it's a very simple, and when you'd made this circular motion with your hand, I think that's where people get tripped up, because you hate to keep doing the same thing over and over again, but that's what works well from a recruiting standpoint. So that is just great stuff. Let's move on to the next topic, and that is they are watching you. So talk to us about what you mean when you say the agents are watching you and your brokerage. What does that mean, and how does that benefit you from a recruiting standpoint?
So, I mean, you all know this who are watching, agents don't have one conversation with us and then join our brokerage, right? It takes multiple conversations. This takes multiple touch points. They're building trust. And then ultimately, typically, there's something that happens, right? There's a trigger event where they say, okay, I'm moving from broker A to broker B now. But they're watching broker B, that destination brokerage. And that's what we all want to be. We want to be their destination brokerage. They're watching us. They're watching us on social media. They're watching us through those email campaigns that they get. They're watching our agents in our local market. They're watching our leaders in the local market. They're making their impression of us on whether or not we're a company that's the right fit for them to partner with in their real estate business. So all of those touch points all add up to that. And we know statistically it takes somewhere between 14 to 20 touch points, and those could happen over months before somebody is ready to make a move. So they're watching us.
And they're sort of forming their own opinion. I mean, like they're forming their own opinion on their own. Donnie's going to talk about that when we come to his section, but it's almost like the consumer that's reaching out, researching their local real estate agent. Most of the time before that real estate agent comes out, they've already decided whether or not that person has the background and the sales results and the recommendations and testimonials and things like that. So if your brokerage, if you're listening and you're wondering whether or not you guys are projecting, your brokerage is projecting the right thing to the market, I can tell you, if you have to guess, you probably are not projecting what you should be to the market, and you need to make sure that you're stepping that up just a little bit. Any other thoughts or comments there on that particular topic?
Yeah, I mean, just that it is important. So if I go back to the example of the giving value as part of our system, for the agents that are interacting with us who are not Fathom agents, the impression we're trying to leave with them is, look, this is what we're sharing when you're not one of our agents. Imagine what you're going to learn when you come to one of our trainings or to one of our events when you are a Fathom agent. So you've got to sort of practice what you preach, right? So I always say in a coaching situation, you can show or tell. And it's much more powerful when you show people your culture and your values and let them experience it than just trying to tell somebody about it. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to show people and let them experience our culture here at Fathom.
We had a broker in Kansas City who had a very interesting experience, and he did everything he could to make an agent feel special. And the agent joined his firm. And now this was a very outspoken, opinionated agent. So about 6 months later, she saw him in the hallway and she said, hey, I felt the love before I got here, and now that I'm here, I don't feel the love anymore. And what a great concept. And I know that both you, Wendy, and Donnie focus on, hey, we're going to create the best environment for our agents. And whatever you did to recruit them, to get them there, is what you have to keep doing to keep them there. I thought that was such great advice. Let's move on to the next slide here. We talked a little bit already about a target list, but I'd love to talk a little bit more about so they start by putting their sphere, their personal contacts, people that they have a level of influence with, and then what are the best practices from there that so you don't want your recruiting list to stay the same. It needs to change. People need to get added to it every month, and it's okay if people opt out of it every month. In fact, I would say that it makes the list a lot cleaner. Some people get their feelings hurt when somebody opts out of a list, and I think that is sort of misplaced emotion. So talk to me about how you keep growing that target list always.
Yeah, so on the online marketing world, we would call this list building. So we have to always be focusing on list building. So keep putting people on that list, into that funnel. So, from our local leadership perspective, it's all those new agents that you're meeting, right? Every time an agent's doing a transaction with you, every time you're, at a virtual event or a real life event, you're adding those people onto your list. You're doing your own outbound calling and introducing yourself to agents. You're adding those people onto your list. And we work at from I call it ground cover and air cover. So that's the ground cover perspective, what the local leader on the ground is doing. From the air cover perspective, that's what we do from sort of the Fathom home office perspective. So we do, very extensive Facebook marketing, advertising, where we're, able to take those lists and, use some of the magic of Facebook on that. And that's where what we call the lead magnets or the free resources that we have, that attracts, other eyeballs, just social in general. So the combination of Pinterest, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, we're on all of those verticals, and we use those as list building. So anytime somebody engages with Fathom and they make an inquiry to download a resource or learn information, they immediately get a phone call from one of our team to, introduce themselves, see if they had any questions. And we really approach that conversation from, I see you downloaded our free resources on building out your agent systems. Wanted to see if you had any questions about that. And that will organically turn into a conversation about their market, about their business, and about their future. And it becomes a recruiting conversation.
And so have you found that the transition from, hey, we've given you a free resource, to them discussing sort of places where they feel like they're falling short? In other words, where they are compared to where they want to be. Is that an awkward transition? Or if you're just genuinely trying to help them, does the subject just come up no matter what?
It's been our experience that our agents are so hungry, just agents in the industry are so hungry for that help, and they're not having those type of conversations that often. So that's part of why they downloaded the free resource, is they'll give their email and say, yes, contact me. So permission-based marketing, because they want to know and they want that help. So then when they get a live person who's saying like, yeah, what questions do you have? Like, how does that work? It's a very, very organic, very easy conversation for us and for them to have. And at the end of that, we've left hopefully a great impression, is what we're looking to achieve on Fathom. And they may or may not decide to become a Fathom agent now, or even want to have that conversation. But we've built a relationship, and we've built good brand goodwill. And that's the step one in, in growing any great brand, is building that great brand goodwill.
I love that. And I will tell you that I can vouch firsthand for the fact that you guys are using social media. I swear to you, Wendy, I cannot watch a Facebook video, because when I get in bed at night, I got to do the important stuff, watch a few Facebook videos, a few comedy routines, things like that. But every dang time I look, I'm being targeted by Fathom Realty. So I'm seeing another agent who's joined in a testimonial. And by the way, it hasn't, you haven't sucked me in yet, but if you keep doing it, eventually I might I'd like to know more about that, or I'd like to know that resource. So I just want you to know, if you're listening, she's not just talking about what you're supposed to do. She's telling you exactly what they do. So we have already mentioned this, but I want to kind of dig into this a little bit more. And by the way, when you're recruiting and you're genuinely trying to help someone, in my opinion, the call reluctance and the follow-up reluctance and the fear of rejection, it all goes away. Because Wendy, if I'm sincerely trying to help you and you don't want my help, I'm certainly not mad at you. If you try to help somebody, they won't take your help. I might feel sorry for you, but I'm not mad at you. And it's an entirely different emotion. And if you're a broker and you're listening and you're thinking, oh my God, that is the mindset. Well, this is ninja selling. If you've ever read the book Ninja Selling, which I love, it says you have to come from a place of love, not a place of fear. And it says when you're calling to try to convert somebody to come to work for your company, you're actually calling from a place of fear, meaning you're calling trying to avoid having that empty spot. If you're calling trying to help somebody, then you're calling from a position of love. And I think we all need to do a lot more than that. I went online and signed up for some quotes on health insurance, because next year is coming up. And if I could just play for you all of the follow-up phone calls I got, it is a step 1 through 12 of what not to do when you're making follow-up phone calls. Call and help me, things like that. So talk a little bit more about making your people who are recruiting, making them look at it just like the way an agent should look at generating leads.
Yeah, it really is a mindset, right? And it comes from that philosophy of that servant leadership of how can we help you today, right? Yeah. What are your questions? What are your challenges? Let's have a conversation about that. So we talk about it internally, not as, a recruiting call. This is a business call, right? I'm calling to have a business conversation with a peer in the industry, with another agent. It may or may not lead to whether or not there's a fit. We don't even know. We don't know if there's a cultural fit there. We don't know if they're, qualified. That's part of why we have that conversation. But I think that the takeaway that I'd like to share is it really is the mindset. You've got to go into the conversation with an excitement, an open mind and an eagerness to have a business conversation. I mean, I think all of us in this business, we live and breathe real estate, right? Like, we love what we do. We love the people in this industry. We get opportunities every day to engage with other people that share that same passion. I mean, how lucky are we that that's our job, right? So that mindset is an important part of it.
Yep, I love that. That is such great information. Let's see here. We've got just a couple other things to cover, and I think this is the last one for you. But it's the tools, the systems, and the resources that you provide that make the difference in building the funnel and communicating with people in meaningful ways. So let's discuss that, and then we'll switch over to Donny. But I do have a question for Sean as we make the switch over. So Sean, be ready.
Got it, of course.
Yeah, so I mean, I shared at the top of the conversation, the fill the funnel, regular communication, and give value. So that's, our system. We follow that system. We use the tools and the resources as part of that. So a CRM system is a valuable part of that, right? We're filling the funnel, all of those leads go into our CRM system. And then all of the drip email campaigns are managed from the CRM system. So like everything we tell our agents as they're building their businesses, as we're building sort of the recruiting arm of our brokerages, we've got to follow a system. And if we just followed the same advice we gave our agents around, fill the funnel, contact a lead ASAP when somebody inquires looking for information on your brokerage, right? We practice speed to lead the same way we tell our agents when a buyer or a seller inquires, and then get them into their system, right? Like, whatever that system is for your business, have it set up and utilize it. And that will just rinse and repeat from there, and you'll start to see the results you're looking for.
Rinse and repeat. Wendy, thank you so much. You have given so much great information, and I really appreciate it. We do have a question in from one of the attendees. Teresa wants to know basically how KV Core compares to some of the other CRM platforms. She used a specific name. I'm not going to use it because it's my prerogative, because I'm in charge. I don't have to. But Sean, tell us a little bit about how your platform compares to some of the others.
Yeah, I mean, we could take a whole hour webinar and probably talk to that specific question, as the similarities and differences abound, especially in different systems. But we look at KV Core specifically as a leader in the CRM space with some really meaningful behavior automation that makes what Wendy's talking about at the agent level very possible and doable, meaning you're able to find that balance because the system does a lot of things on your behalf. Beyond that, we work very closely with other technology partners in the space to provide meaningful integrations so that you don't have to go site to site, platform to platform to do the thing which is real estate that you're good at and ultimately working for. I would invite Teresa and others who are asking that question, to reach out to me either via LinkedIn or maybe leave in some sort of, webinar notes. You can link my email address as well, and be happy to jump on the phone and help answer some of those more detailed and specific questions.
Sure. I'm sure we can get RISMedia to post that out there for everybody. And that's good stuff. So I'm going to answer the question myself. I would say the CRM platform is probably a little more robust, a lot more robust than you would see a lot of places. And when you start tying that platform technology with your back office, your transaction, all that stuff together, it is amazing. In my opinion, it's the future of real estate. So let's move on and let's introduce Donny. I tell you, Donny, I forget, by the way, what you said your name was when you and I had our first webinar call. What did you say your name was on the webinar? That was really quite funny. Audio
I think it was connecting, dot.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You had me totally thrown off. So to say that Donny is our resident comedian would be an understatement. He's the CEO of Samson Properties, an independently owned real estate brokerage in Chantilly, Virginia. 3,500 agents across 26 offices, Virginia, Maryland, District of Columbia. You pride yourself on being the most realtor-friendly brokerage in the industry, and I think that is huge. And by the way, you talked about the level of service you provide for your agents over and over and over. And you know, if you said it once, you might just be talking, but when you keep talking about it over and over, it's just good stuff. So welcome, Donny. We're really glad you're here, and we appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yes, thanks for having me. You know, it's honored to be here. It's exciting to talk to you guys.
So one of the things you talked about in the first place, which really piqued my interest, I mean, my ears were just tuned in, was you are not typically reaching out and making unsolicited outbound phone calls. You are doing things to fill your funnel, and most of the time when you're having a conversation with somebody, they've requested the conversation and not you. Let's talk about that.
So a little bit different, and there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, but we don't necessarily create target lists based on, you know, areas and volumes and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to do, we have mass email campaigns. We have a 17 email series that we're trying to hit a different topic, you know, on schedule to make sure that they're letting all the agents know something different, that we offer a value in all the different emails. So we're doing emails. We do a lot of mailers right to people's houses. You know, so postal mailings, and then we do a lot of Facebook ads that are to recruiting events, you know. And then what we want to do is, I'm not picking up the phone and calling anybody, because, you know, to your point, I want to talk to people that already have an interest, you know, have them come to us. So whether they're answering my emails or my mailers or my Facebook ads, I'm directing them back to our Join Samson website or to the latest Lunch and Learn. We do a Lunch and Learn once a week. 4 times a month, and I make sure for a given month that the 4 are spread out all over the region. And the idea is that I want to engage people that are already interested enough to show up and hear what we have to say. They've either already watched videos online or they've talked to other realtors, you know, and I'll get to some of that too. A lot of our recruiting comes from our current realtors. A lot of our huge focus is making sure that our realtors love our company so much that they're our mouthpiece, you know, out there to the world as well. But we do a lot of advertising that is, you know, email, print, Facebook, but it's directing them either to our website, to call me, or to come to an event. And I think that leads to a lot of really more productive, positive conversations where I'm not necessarily trying to convince them about the idea of Samson. They're already coming to me and almost sold. To your point earlier when you're talking, is a lot of people have done their research. They're 90% sold by the time they get in front of me, because they've already done some investigating and gotten my stuff and come to me.
And we'll talk in a few minutes about how you make it where they really can know every last thing you could possibly want to know. I think it's fascinating. But I do have a question real quickly, and I'm going to go back to Wendy on this one. The question is, where do you stop when giving value? In other words, are you giving away the milk before they buy the cow? What an interesting question.
I was raised by my grandmother, and that saying when I was younger was a whole different connotation.
Yes, it does.
Oh, yeah, yes. It did not have anything to do with giving away free real estate tools.
That's very
right. You know, we don't really look at it that way. I mean, let's face it, there are no secrets in our business, right? I mean, we all know what, you know, we need to do to be successful. There's a big enough pie out there that we can all do it and be wildly successful without being at, you know, the detriment of somebody else. So we just don't look at it that way. If somebody wants to attend one of our trainings, they can sign up as a guest to attend one of our company trainings. Like we're fine with that. We invite agents, you know, to participate in that culture and get that experience as part of their decision-making process.
So you genuinely want to help people, even if they decide they don't want to join you. Donny, let me switch to you. Ramiro asked, what email tool do you use? What email platform do you use to communicate with your email list?
Right now we're using Constant Contact for our outbound emailing.
Okay, and then are you now doing lunch and learns on Zoom? Here comes it. It's the Donny hour. Here comes the questions in for Donny.
So that's a good question. We have converted to in-person again. We did have to do a lot of live. We do get basically I buy double the size room that I would have bought before and let people socially distance, 1 or 2 per table. So I am back to in-person about 4 weeks ago. But for a while there, every single Friday, you know, and we're going to touch on this in a little bit, but every single Friday I did basically a virtual lunch and learn where I was live in studio here and did my whole presentation. People could watch live online and text in questions, and I could answer them that way. So it wasn't necessarily Zoom. It was more of a full presentation. I would give the presentation, then answer questions, but I was live every Friday with the recruiting presentation. So we called those our virtual lunch and learns, but I guess it was cheaper for me. I didn't have to feed them lunch, but I didn't have the personal connection that I get now, which is great.
So if I was an attendee, I'd be wondering, okay, are you getting people to show up for the ones you're doing physically now? Is it working?
Yeah, I'd say probably we're about 80% of the normal attendance that we used to. I mean, we used to probably average anywhere from 30 to 70 people per lunch and learn every week, and now we're probably more in the 20 to 40 range, 20 to 45 range. So we haven't got any topped out ones yet, but everything between 20 and 40 people, whereas maybe 30 to 50 was our sweet spot before. So 75, 80%. So still people are coming, you know, there's nothing like being in person, you know?
No, there's no replacement. I do have a couple more questions for you. I think I misunderstood and I asked you about your email service. I think he wants to know who's doing your direct mail is what Ramiro wanted. So so
we do that in-house actually. Yes, so we do that in-house actually. We do one of our tools, and I think that's probably your next question, is one of the tools that we offer out to our agents is we have a full service print center. It's actually right next to me here, which I had to tell them to quiet down a little bit. But we do full service in-house, like premium printing, premium brochures, premium books and mailers and the whole 9 yards. So we do everything in-house, which makes it a whole lot cheaper than if we outsourced it. Well, cheaper once you've got it set up, I guess, right?
Yeah.
not the startup cost, but if we're doing it for all the agents on their mailers and postcards and all that kind of stuff, either for free or super cheap prices, then when it comes to us to mail 10,000 postcards or 10,000 brochures, it's a lot cheaper because we already have the resources and the wherewithal to set that up, and a lot cheaper than if I ran across the street to Kinko's or Xerox or somewhere. They would charge me 2 or 3 times what it costs for me to do it myself.
Love it. Got an attendee question from John, and I think we'll direct it to both of you. What percentage of the agents you hire are experienced versus new? Wendy?
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at this number. I can tell you that the last 6 months, it has started to skew differently. So prior to that, we were about a 60-40 on the experienced slant, where we are hiring 60% more experienced. We have just had an influx. I joke with the team internally that I think that the world decided to get their real estate license online during COVID shutdown. Because you know, I mean, NAR is reporting this, right? We're seeing an influx of new agents. So we have definitely, if we look at our stats for September, it was 60-40 the other way with you know, new agents, and by that I would say sort of 3 or less transaction agents versus, you know, more than, you know, 4+ agents.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy. Donnie, how about you?
I'd say we saw a similar thing. We were probably 70-80% transfers before, and I think the whole world did get their real estate license during COVID. It was actually funny because you know, I think even more the last 2 months, because it was like, oh, the testing centers must have opened, because I think we had a lot of people that were studying. And then, so I've said the last 2 months, it's been almost 70%, 60% new agents, whereas before, you know, it was maybe 10 or 20%. We got mostly transfers, but a lot of new agents the last couple months. And maybe it's just that it's so pronounced because people couldn't get their license for 4 months. And now the last 2 months, they're able to pass the test and get them. But we've had a lot of new agents, maybe people sitting around during COVID saying, you know, I want to take my career. I don't want to be let go of a job anymore. I want to build my own career that nobody can fire me from, essentially.
Right, absolutely. And then we've got a question, which is a very interesting one. Do you worry about sending email to an agent's company email address if you don't have a personal email address? What a practical question.
That is a practical.
Yeah, go ahead,
Donnie.
Oh,
no, you go.
I mean, a little bit, and some of those they're going to turn them off, or there's certain companies that do block them. You know, I don't think you can stop doing it because of that. You know, I think that you're going to get a certain percentage of them are blocked or whatever it is. But, you know, I think you keep firing at them and hopefully they connect. I mean, a lot of people use personal emails. I mean, I'm not a big proponent of having company emails, you know, because I mean, in one sense, as a broker owner, it ties you more to the company, but in the other sense, it kind of takes away the individuality of the agent, and they feel like they're tied into you a little too much. So, I'm not worried about it is the answer, I guess.
And the truth is whatever you're doing from a marketing perspective, if you're not upsetting somebody in the process, not purposefully, but if somebody doesn't
Right.
get up with you in the process, you're probably not marketing correctly. I mean, like my oldest daughter, when she drives down the road and sees a billboard, it upsets her. I mean, like it just upsets her. Now, the billboard's been there for 20 years. And so when you start marketing and messaging, it's okay to have people that don't connect with your message or your brand and want to go away and not get messaging. It makes your list more pure on a regular basis. So Donnie, one of the things that Wendy,
can I just add, I was just going to add
Yes.
that, Cleve, that, I mean, because we're doing so much permission-based marketing, I mean, we ask them for their email address. So if they give me an EXP email address, we're going to send them information to that, company email address. They give me a Coldwell Banker, so it's really the address that they give us is we'll send the information to.
Sure.
Yep. Love it. So Donnie, one of the things that you talked about is you got to sell who you are to the extent that if they don't want who you are, they're not interested in coming to talk to you. And that's such
Sure.
a great cultural thing to do as well. Talk to us about that.
Well, I think, as we got talking the other day, it's we really know who we are. Our whole thing is we've got our rules, be nice, be professional, but our whole mantra is pay it forward. And our whole thing is we want to pour into our agents. We want to be the most realtor friendly company we can be. Our whole thing is it's never about how much I can charge you as a realtor. It's how I can help you, make you better, how I can make you succeed more. And that idea permeates everything we do. Free KV core platforms, which I'm sure we'll talk more about, which we're excited about, but free and reduced print centers, free education, tip on top of tip, concierge services that are drastically reduced, because it's all about how I can help you sell more houses. Because if I help you sell more houses, then we're going to be more successful. So we have a really good grasp of who we are. We are going to be our culture is all about pay it forward, about family, about caring for each other, the top agents helping out the other agents, brokers and mentors helping out each other and to help grow. And I think because we've got that mindset and that culture that permeates through all of our offices, everybody walks out of a meeting with me knowing that's what they're about. Now, if they don't love it, they don't love it, but I think a lot of people have. But the idea is if we pour into you, then at the end of the day, you're going to be more successful. You're going to sell more real estate. All that's going to be great. And you're going to turn around, you're going to tell other people, I love my company so much, you should come talk to us. And, we talk about recruiting and all. And one thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't get out is, in the last year, we've brought on 1,200 agents. We're averaging about 100 a month. And 86% of those were referred by our current realtors that said, you need to come here, Donnie. You need to come to a lunch and learn. You need to go to our website and watch the videos. And that's the stuff when I lay down at bed at night that makes me feel amazing about what we're doing as a company. Because I can think we're great or all, and I can send out a million emails, but the reality is they're seeing my email, but it's the realtors in our company that are our mouthpiece. Now we have 3,500 people that are like, Samson's great. If I get 3,500 people shouting that from the rooftop, people are going to call me every day. They're going to email me every day. And that's where I think that's what we are, is our total focus is our realtors are our clients. You talked about listers and, buyers and sellers. Really, my goal is if my realtor satisfaction is 100 and my realtors love this company, the rest is going to take care of itself after that. So my focus is making sure that our realtors have a great company to work at every day.
Donnie, what percentage of the agents that have come in recently were referred? I'm sorry, I missed it.
86%. 86%.
And so I think if I was running a brokerage today and I was not getting referrals from my current agents, I think I would probably have to ask myself, what kind of culture am I creating? Am I creating a culture? Do we have a big enough purpose and a why and all that kind of stuff? And Donnie, I think you've done a great job with it. So you have a pay it forward concept. It's sort of your motto, your mission. A lot of people, by the way, Donnie, that I've heard use the term pay it forward, they don't really mean it. And I'm sorry to say that sometimes people are here. So how do you keep them from being just words and make them reality?
I think the idea is, because they see as they recruit agents and as we grow, that my whole thing is, look, on a global scale, I'm going the more you all support us, the more you do a great job, recruit agents, sell more homes, I'm going to add stuff to you. Look, we were doing great in 2019 and 2018, and we've been growing rapidly, but it didn't stop me from saying, let's see how we can make it better for our agents. And I'm going to hit on our sponsor, our great guys here at Inside Real Estate, KV Core. Well, in January and December, I wanted a mission. I was going to get a CRM website and tech stack for our company, and I was going to research them all. I went through 6 or 7 of the top ones. I met with a bunch of people at at another conference. I mixed up there. Sorry.
Can we bleep that out?
Bleep that out. My fault. But I met with a lot of people at a conference, and what I wanted to do was I was going to find how I can make it great for our agents. And when you add something like that, it's not, we're adding for 3,000 agents, but the idea was if they see that I'm going to continue to just, okay, great, got all these agents, I'm going to start pulling back services. No, I'm going to push the throttle forward. I'm going to make it better for you every day. I'm going to add this. I'm going to add that. Here's your websites. Here's your core listing machine. Here's your core property boost, which is a free Facebook ad that I pay for every listing that they put on the market and every open house that they put on the market. Those are just free leads coming back to them that I'm just paying for. So when I say paid for, from my perspective, it's the more you help us grow, the more resources I'm going to pile back into you so you can succeed more. You're not going to use every single thing. You're not going to take every education class or use the print center or concierge services or KV Core. Most people are not taking advantage of every single thing, but if they see that every week or every 2 weeks, I'm adding something new to make your life better, they're like, he's paying it forward. The other cool thing we do is a lot of our top realtors, they are pouring in for free to just help our agents get better. Our top agents are doing whole class series for free. I don't even pay them. They're like, I want to teach everybody about this. Like, what? You're one of our top realtors. You're going to pull back the curtain and just tell everybody how you're successful. But they do that because they see how we treat everybody, and they're like, I want to treat everybody the same way. So they'll stand up and teach whole classes for free just to pour into other people. During COVID, I had a bunch of our top realtors start and do whole class series on how to help. This is how I do $100 million in sales every year, and they'll just my uncle Casey did an 8-class series on how to help other agents do better, and that kind of stuff is invaluable, and people love being a part of something that they can believe in, and that pay it forward attitude and that culture that we're trying to create, I think it gets people excited. Got me excited right there. Sorry.
So I can tell both of you guys have lots of energy and enthusiasm. Do you have a specific feedback system, Donnie, to assess agent satisfaction among your agents?
It's a good question, and I should. And if that was from you, that's good. If it's from somebody else, that's a good question.
No,
I've often thought
it's from John.
Okay, I should, and somebody's out there probably opportunistic going to send me an email at the end of this and say you should implement this for your company, and I should. There's a couple that I just haven't got down the road to implementing, but I think you see it when I visit all of our offices and I'm at these meetings, I'm in person, is that you feel the love from everybody, and I think you can also judge it on, are people recruiting people in and how many people are leaving. In a company our size, if we have 5 or 10 people leaving a month and 3,500 people, that's pretty good agent satisfaction, where I think you just look at turnover rate. I know every single person that leaves, and I know every single person that comes in, and I think when you judge that stuff over weeks and months, you can hopefully feel that that's a good thing, but I should start to rank it on some level.
It'd be nice to do some satisfaction surveys. Yeah. Wendy, please.
We do that here at Fathom. So we started that 4 years ago in our Dallas-Fort Worth market in conjunction with the Dallas Morning newspaper there, that they did it, and we ranked number 1 and number 2 for places to work in that market. And then we took that survey and are now launching it right across the country for all of our Fathom agents. So it gives them a chance to give us feedback, and also gives us benchmarks into different markets and that sort of thing.
And what's interesting is when you start asking people for feedback, not all of the feedback comes back the way you want it to come back.
The important thing is you have to ask, right? If you don't ask, you don't get that.
But you also have to. Go ahead.
That's how you get better, though, Cleve. Every single person that leaves, and it's not many, but if I pick up the phone and I call them, I say, hey, look, I'm not upset you left, but what's going on? Help me out, because I want to get better. If I'm not getting better every day and making my company better for everybody, then we're just going backwards, so I want to know where I fell short. Now, maybe there's something you moved, or your cousin got into real estate, maybe there's something I could never done. But if there's a reason you left, look, go ahead and I shake hands, let's move on. But I want to know how I can get better, and that's how our company's gotten better every week, every month, every year, is because you take the losses. Everybody fails when they get to the top, right? Every loss you take it and make your company better. And that's how I think we improve every day.
Yeah, we've got about 5 minutes left.
Then you get the call where they say, can I come back? Right?
Yes.
Donnie, I'm sure you get those calls
we get
too.
Those a lot.
We
yes.
get the same ones where it's like, yeah,
the
like
grass
I left,
wasn't
like,
greener.
geez,
Yeah.
it was it's all because how we handle it on how they leave, right? When we treat them with grace and respect, then the door is open.
And literally have that pay it forward attitude, meaning I hate that you're leaving, but I hope it works out for you wherever you're going.
That's right.
I do have, so we've got about 4 minutes left. We've got a couple topics we're going to do with Donnie. This is great. I'm enjoying it. I could go on for another hour. I don't think anybody would be here with us if we did. But I do have a question from two listeners, Jared and Erica. Basically, do you have any recruiting incentives for your agents?
I just do $500. We don't work on scales where people, I know some companies get a percentage of their sales forever and that kind of stuff. We have a $500 bonus for people that recruit, but I don't think anybody's doing it for the $500. It's a nice thank you, but people, I think, recruit people and when put their name on the line, if they really believe in the company, they're referring them over to. So we do have $500 is just the recruiting bonus.
How important?
And we do the same. We do it similar. We do $500 in stock grants because Fathom is a publicly traded company. So they get $500 in stock grants for every agent they refer.
And really, a lot of times people think, well, $500 is not enough. Well, the incentive doesn't have to be big. It just needs to be big enough for you to talk about, because people, they don't like to be left out. And if a bunch of people are doing it, they want to do it as well. Donnie, let's change directions for just a second and talk a little bit about how you train and develop other people. We've just got about 3 minutes left, but you say success leaves clues, and you like for people who are dropping the clues around to show up and give those clues to your agents. How does that work?
So I think that, and I touched on some of that with the paying it forward, but I think that something we really focus on is education and training people up. If our agents are the exact same good, that's a really bad term. If they're the exact same level of agent today that they that they were 6 months ago and a year ago and 18 months ago, then we're failing. I want to get people better every day. So we are obsessive about education. We've got 5 classes a day that are either in person or virtual. And because to me, the successful realtors do the successful things consistently every day. A lot of us have real estate careers like this, and that's what makes it hard. But if I can help teach people successful, consistent patterns through all of our education and our prospecting classes and all the mindset classes, you mentioned Ninja earlier, we teach Ninja for free, all these different things that we do, that if I can help create consistent habits, consistent successful habits for all of our agents, then they're all going to help teach them how to fish and they'll eat forever. And that's what we're doing, is we want to teach you to be better every day. Because look, you take a system like KV Core, there's a million things. Look, bite off a little bit every week, and you're going to get better, and you're going to build successful habits and consistent habits that'll take you to the next level. And you're going to wake up in 2021, it's going to be better than 2020. And every year after that, it's going to be better in your real estate career.
And what's the importance, you think, of having successful people share instead of Donnie being the be all end all in terms of how you train and develop? Because a lot of brokers do that. A lot of brokers think, hey, if you're going to get good information, it has to come from me. And I think that really holds you back.
I think having different opinions, we can all learn from people. Like, we had an interview series that's going on where we've interviewed our top 25 realtors. We sit down with them for an hour just like this, and it's a Zoom and people can get in. Well, look, if I sit and listen to 25 smart people, I'm going to learn something from all 25 that were successful. I jump into stuff like this all the time, and some of the brokers out there are watching us. You never know what you're going to learn from somebody else. If you can get that 1 or 2 good takeaways, then you get smarter. If they just hear me all the time, I've only got so much to say. I'm going to say it all to you, but if you get 25 different smart voices that have sold a lot of real estate, then it's going to hit them different places. It's going to hit them from different angles, because not everybody's like me.
That's right, because everybody uses a different voice, and one person's voice works better with some people than ours, and that's just the way it is. So if you're interested in getting a couple cool free resources, you can go to workmansuccess.com/not money. In other words, you don't have to give away the farm in order to recruit agents. And we're going to give you 2 things. The first one is a double your listings in 120 days program. Wendy, if you and Donnie want to get those and steal it and copy it and use it, feel free. But it's basically a 5-step process for what someone needs to do to double their listings, because the only way we as real estate professionals can help the economy recover is to list properties. Because when you list and sell a property, you add to the gross domestic product of the U.S. and the state. And this document is fascinating. It teaches you how to deal with emotional concerns and how to message about the market, how to handle your pre-listing and listing marketing presentation, all of the virtual services you need to provide. And then it closes by saying, look, here's 6 or 8 things you should do to generate leads. The second free giveaway is what's called a recruiting daily success habits tracker. If you are out there and you're thinking, hey, it's getting close to the end of the year and I have not done all of the things that I am supposed to do, it's these activities that are on this daily success habits tracker that is, you get a point for this and a point for that and 2 points for this and 10 points for that. And it allows you to understand, as a recruiter, as a business development person, as a broker owner, did I have a successful week? So what happens for Wendy is she makes sure she has successful weeks. What happens for Donnie is he makes sure he has successful weeks. Most of us out there don't even know on Friday afternoon whether or not we had a successful week, and the daily success habits tracker will take care of that for you. Thank you so very much to Sean, to Inside Real Estate, to Wendy, and to Donnie. This was great information. I appreciate you being here and sharing openly. And the copy, a link to the YouTube video of the webinar, we'll email that out later. Sean, any final comments?
Just again, thank you to everybody, especially Wendy and Donnie. You guys freaking awesome. You guys are so great.
Thank you.
I sit here and I'm just absorbing and loving everything. But just a quick reminder for those interested, I was actually chatting on LinkedIn with a couple people that reached out with some questions, which is awesome. But insiderealestate.com/get KV Core for more information on the CRM and platform. And I look forward to talking to hopefully more of you as you have questions about recruiting and other topics. But thank you, Cleve, for everything.
Oh, my pleasure. And Wendy, thanks to you again, and Donnie as well. You guys were both a wealth of information, and I appreciate it. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.